The 911 call came just after sunrise. Darlene Gentry told dispatchers her husband had been shot in their bed, a break-in, she claimed. The police soon realized something was wrong. There was no forced entry, no struggle, and the woman on the phone, a nurse, never tried to help him. Then came the gun at the bottom of the pond, and a camera caught Darlene going back to find it.
This story begins in Robinson, Texas, a small, quiet town near Waco, the kind of place where neighbors wave at each other and people leave doors unlocked. Darlene Doskasil was the local sweetheart, smart, beautiful, and once crowned homecoming queen. She married Keith Gentry, a dependable man who worked for an electric utility company. Together, they built what looked like a perfect life, a nice home, 3 young sons, and steady jobs. But behind that picture-perfect image, there were problems. Money was tight. Their marriage had grown cold. And according to friends, Darlene had started to complain that Keith didn't give her the life she deserved. In the early morning hours of November 9, 2005, police got a 911 call from Darlene Gentry. She told them she'd found her husband shot in the head, bleeding in their bed, and that some of their guns were missing. When officers arrived, they found Keith still alive, barely breathing, a bullet wound to the back of his head. The back door was open. A few guns were stacked oddly by the front door, as if someone had tried to make it look like a robbery. But the details didn't fit. There were no footprints, no fingerprints, and no signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen except for one thing, a .22 caliber revolver, a family gun Keith's father had given him years ago. Keith was rushed to the hospital, but by the afternoon, he was gone. Investigators began to question Darlene. Her story shifted. Her emotions didn't match the situation. And one thing stood out, despite being a trained nurse, she never tried CPR or even touched her husband's wounds. She just waited for police. To detectives, that was the first red flag. The next few days, investigators tore through the house. Inside a kitchen trash can, they found latex gloves, and inside one of them, a spent .22 shell casing. It was an odd place to hide evidence. They sent it to the lab for testing, but it wasn't enough to make an arrest, not yet. Then, things got stranger. On November 28, 2005, less than 3 weeks after the murder, investigators obtained a warrant for Darlene Gentry's arrest. She was taken into custody and charged with murder. That same day, she posted bond and walked out of jail, calm and confident. While out on bond, Darlene began looking for property with a pond on it. She contacted a local man named Robert Pavelka about a piece of land that had one. At first, she said she wanted to buy it so her sons could go fishing, something Keith had always wanted to do with them. But not long after, she called Pavelka again, and asked him if the pond could be filled in. That question raised alarms. Pavelka found it strange and quietly alerted the sheriff's department. Detectives got a search warrant and brought in a dive team. When they dragged the pond, they made a discovery that broke the case wide open, a .22 caliber revolver, rusted and buried under silt at the bottom. Ballistics showed it was consistent with the weapon used to kill Keith. Now, they had proof that Darlene's missing gun story was a lie. But the story didn't end there. Authorities weren't done watching her. They asked Pavelka to pretend he was planning to drain the pond. They set up hidden cameras and waited. Not long after, Darlene returned, wearing knee-high waders, carrying a wooden stick, and walking straight into the shallow water where the gun had been found. The surveillance video showed her probing the mud, looking for something, the same spot investigators had already searched. That footage sealed her fate. When it was played for the jury, gasps filled the courtroom. At her trial in 2007, prosecutors argued that Darlene murdered her husband for money. Keith had 2 life insurance policies worth nearly $700,000, and she was the sole beneficiary. They said she shot him while he slept, staged a fake robbery, and then dumped the gun in a pond. Her defense team claimed the evidence was circumstantial, no eyewitness, no exact ballistic match, and that someone else could have broken in. They even tried to introduce medical records suggesting Keith might have been having an affair, hinting at another possible motive, but the judge denied it. Darlene's lawyers called no witnesses. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury came back with one word: guilty. She was sentenced to 60 years in prison. She later appealed, but every appeal was denied. Even with the conviction, a few questions still linger. Why did Darlene return to the pond after knowing police had already found the gun? Could someone else have staged the scene to frame her? And if she really planned the murder, why leave evidence like gloves and shells inside her own home? There are theories that she panicked, that she was overconfident, or that she didn't think she'd ever get caught. But no matter how you look at it, her behavior that morning, and her return to the pond, was the turning point that made police certain she was guilty. Today, Darlene Gentry remains in a Texas state prison, serving her 60-year sentence. She won't be eligible for parole until 2037. Keith's parents gained custody of the couple's 3 sons. At first, they stood by Darlene. But after the trial, they said the evidence changed their minds. The case still haunts Robinson, Texas, a reminder that even in small towns, the most ordinary homes can hide dark secrets. The Lindsay Buziak case, a real estate murder that still haunts Canada. Lindsay Buziak was 24 years old, bright, beautiful, and ambitious. She worked as a real estate agent in Saanich, a quiet town on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. On February 2, 2008, she got a call from a woman with a thick, foreign accent. The woman said she and her husband were looking for $1 million home. They wanted to buy fast, cash deal, no financing. To a young agent like Lindsay, it sounded like a dream client. But her gut told her something felt off. She even told her dad and boyfriend that the woman's voice gave her chills. Still, she decided to take the showing. The home was at 1702 D'Souza Place, a new, upscale property in a quiet cul-de-sac. It was supposed to be a quick meeting. Around 5:30 p.m., Lindsay arrived at the house. Neighbors saw her greet a man and woman outside, both well-dressed. The man wore a light-colored suit, the woman had a distinctive red and black dress. They went inside together. That was the last time Lindsay was seen alive. Minutes later, her boyfriend, Jason Zalo, texted her, no reply. He called, no answer. Around 5:45 p.m., he drove to the property with a coworker. The front door was locked, but through the glass, he saw Lindsay's shoes still by the door, and that's when he knew something was wrong. He went around to the back patio door. It was wide open. When he stepped inside and went upstairs, he found her. Lindsay was on the floor in the master bedroom. She had been stabbed multiple times. The attack was brutal, fast, and precise. No defensive wounds. No sign of sexual assault. No valuables taken. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't random. It was an execution. From the start, police believed this was a targeted and planned killing. The killers used a fake name and a burner phone to contact Lindsay. That phone was bought in Vancouver, used only to set up the meeting, then shut off immediately after the murder. No fingerprints. No DNA. No murder weapon. Nothing. Detectives interviewed Jason Zalo and cleared him. His phone records, car GPS, and surveillance footage all matched his story. They canvassed the neighborhood, but no one saw the killers leave. The only clue, that open patio door. Police believed the man and woman escaped through the backyard and down a small walkway to a waiting getaway car. The autopsy report was sealed, but the coroner later confirmed she died from massive blood loss. The attack happened within minutes of her arriving. This was no crime of passion. It was organized, clean, surgical, and personal. Over the years, many theories surfaced. A professional hit. The killers planned everything, left no evidence, and vanished. Some say Lindsay saw or heard something she shouldn't have, something tied to drug or money laundering activity in real estate circles. But no hard proof ever confirmed that. Someone she knew. Lindsay was dating Jason, but police cleared him. Still, online detectives have speculated about people in his circle. Again, no solid evidence. A jealous rival or someone with a grudge. Lindsay had no known enemies, but she was a young woman succeeding fast in a competitive industry. A lure from organized crime. Her phone records showed no direct link, but the level of planning suggested connections beyond a normal client scam. Then there was the online confession. Years later, someone posted a message claiming to be the killer. It said, "I killed Lindsay, I stabbed her 40 times. But police couldn't trace the IP to a real suspect. The post might have been a hoax, or a taunt. Unanswered questions. To this day. Who made that first phone call? Why target Lindsay, and for what reason? How could two people walk into a house in daylight, kill her, and disappear without a single trace? Even the phone used to lure her was wiped. Bought in Vancouver, activated under a fake name, used once, and tossed. It's as if the killers rehearsed everything. Police still believe at least 2 people were involved, possibly more. But without DNA or eyewitnesses, they've never been able to charge anyone. Lindsay's father, Jeff Buziak, refuses to let the case fade away. Every year, he organizes a memorial walk through Saanich to keep her story alive. He spent years pushing for answers, working with private investigators, and pleading with the public to come forward. The community still feels the shock. A young woman killed while simply doing her job, showing a home. A brutal act in a peaceful suburb. The Saanich Police and RCMP say the case is still active. In 2021, investigators confirmed new forensic techniques brought fresh leads. But no arrests have been made. 17 years later, the same questions haunt every hallway of that house, and every corner of Lindsay's story.
Some cases never sleep. They breathe in the dark, waiting for someone, somewhere, to finally tell the truth. Up to this day, this case is still unsolved, still ongoing. You've been watching Stacy's Epic Collection, where every mystery has a heartbeat.